ask the boss.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the July 2022 West Milton Council meeting. I'd like to please ask everyone to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and remain standing for the invocation by Seminarian Nick Emmerman from the Transfiguration Church. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit, amen. Brothers and sisters, we give thanks for the many blessings God has bestowed upon us, our families, and our town. We know that everything is a gift, and we are called to be good stewards of these blessings and gifts. We especially give thanks for the victory of life, of the unborn, and yet the challenge still remains for respect of life. So we ask that whatever fear binds us be removed, so that we may act rightly and conform our lives to that of Christ, through whose sacrifice we have life eternal. Let not our hearts be hardened and blinded to the cries of those in need, but let us, as we heard in this past Sunday's gospel, be like the Good Samaritan who was willing to sacrifice to save. We know that in all things we are weak and fall often, and thus we must ask for the grace to not only rise from our sinful and fallen ways, but to accomplish all that must be done. We ask all of this through Christ by praying the prayer he taught us. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Amen. Sacred Heart of Jesus, have mercy on us. Immaculate Heart of Mary, pray for us. Saint Joseph, terror of demons, pray for us. May the Lord bless us, protect us from all evil, and bring us to everlasting life. Amen.
Amen. Thank you.
I'd like to go ahead and call the meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Mayor Miller,
Here.
Mr. Tracy,
Here.
Ms. Metz, here. Mr. Horn,
Here.
Mr. Hurst,
Here.
Ms. Kopp, here. Mr. Dorman.
Here.
For the June workshop, there were two members absent. That's councilpersons Tracy and Kopp. Are there any motions to excuse the council members?
Make a motion we accept council persons as Tracy and Kyle. Excused.
As excused.
As excused. Sorry.
Okay.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Dorman,
Yes.
Ms. Kopp,
Yes.
Mr. Hurst,
Yes.
Mr. Horn,
Yes.
Ms. Metz, yes. Mr. Tracy,
Yes.
Mayor Miller.
Yes. Council should have received their minutes for June 14th regularly scheduled council meeting and the June 28th council workshop. Are there any motions to accept the minutes?
Make a motion we accept the minutes.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Dorman,
Yes.
Ms. Kopp,
Yes.
Mr. Hurst,
Yes.
Mr. Horn,
Yes.
Ms. Metz, yes. Mr. Tracy,
Yes.
Mayor Miller.
Yes. Manager Sheridan, is there any correspondence to council this evening?
No, Mayor, we've received no correspondence.
Thank you. On tonight's agenda are several ordinances and resolutions. I'm not going to read the entire list. At this time, I will open the floor up for any comments by citizens regarding tonight's legislation. All right, seeing none. Moving on to Cm-22-28. This is an ordinance amending the sewer rate. Ms. Brown.
It's an ordinance amending Section 51.22B sewer rate schedule of the Code of Ordinances for the municipality of West Milton, Ohio.
Thank you. Is there any discussion with council this evening regarding the ordinance? Manager Sheridan, anything that you'd like to expand on?
No, Mayor, we've discussed this multiple times. This is the rate increase of 10% that the council requested.
Very good. Is there any motion for the ordinance?
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion that we accept Ordinance Cm-22-28 as written.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Dorman?
Yes.
Ms. Cobb?
Yes.
Mr. Hurst?
Yes.
Mr. Horn?
Yes.
Ms. Metz?
Yes.
Mr. Tracy?
Yes.
Mayor Miller?
Yes. Next on the agenda is CM-22-29. That's an ordinance to amend the water rules. And I'll turn that over.
This is been changed. The document original reading was 17%, and it has been modified to incorporate a 20% increase.
So I will read this in its entirety again. That's okay. An ordinance to amend Chapter 52, Water Rules and Regulations, and to specifically amend Section 52.116 of the West Milton Municipal Code titled Water Rates and Municipality. Whereas the municipality's expenses for providing water service and maintaining the water distribution system is projected to exceed revenues provided by the current rate schedule. And whereas pursuant to Ordinance Cm-13-26, which was amended by Cm-17-34, Council established the Water Capital Debt Service Fund and set a fee schedule to collect fees to service current and future capital projects and any debt created as a result of those projects in the Water Department. And whereas it is necessary to incorporate the fee schedule listed in Cm-17-34 into the existing West Milton codified ordinances. And whereas Council recognizes the importance of maintaining the fiscal stability of the municipality's water fund. Now therefore be it ordained by the Council of the Municipality of West Milton, Ohio, that Section 1, Chapter 52.116 of the West Milton Code of Ordinances is hereby amended to read in full as follows. Section 52.116, Water Rates and Municipality. Section A, there shall be levied and assessed upon each customer who owns improved real estate and to whom municipal water service is accessible, even if a physical connection with
Manager Sheridan.
Yeah. This increase will allow us to invest more than $120,000 a year for the next 3 years in replacement lines and lining. It's necessary infrastructure that the village actually will save money in the long run. We won't have to repair as many lines. It's less expensive to replace them.
Any discussion, questions with council? Any motions?
Make a motion, we accept ordinance CM dash.
It's not the time.
No, sir. Sir, we've already had a period for comments for the public. You can save the comments.
For public?
Yes, sir.
Well,
Thank you.
who are you?
Sir, we'll have another period at the end of the council meeting for public comments.
Make a motion, we accept ordinance CM-22-29 as written and read.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Dorman,
Yes.
Ms. Cott,
Yes.
Mr. Hurst,
Yes.
Mr. Horn,
Yes.
Ms. Metz,
Yes.
Mr. Tracy,
Yes.
Mayor Miller.
Yes. Moving on to CM-22-31.
This is the first of two resolutions authorizing the submission of an application for sanitary sewer improvements. This will state money that we've applied for to help us pay for the cost of lining some sanitary sewer lines at the north edge of the village.
Ms. Brosh.
It's a resolution authorizing Jeff Sheridan, municipal manager, to prepare and submit an application to participate in the Ohio Public Works Commission State Capital Improvement and/or Local Transportation Improvement Program and to execute contracts as required. Whereas the State Capital Improvement Program and the Local Transportation Improvement Program both provide financial assistance to political subdivisions for capital improvements to public infrastructure. And whereas the municipality of West Milton is planning to make capital improvements to North End sanitary rehabilitation. And whereas the infrastructure improvement herein above described is considered to be a priority need for the community and is a qualified project under the OPWC programs. Now therefore be it resolved by the council of the municipality of West Milton, Ohio, that Section 1, the Jeff Sheridan municipal manager is hereby authorized to apply to the OPWC for funds as described above. Section 2, Jeff Sheridan municipal manager is authorized to enter into any agreements as may be necessary and appropriate for obtaining this financial assistance. Section 3, this resolution shall take full force and effect upon its passage.
Questions for council? Any discussion? Any motions?
Make a motion that we accept resolution CM-22-32.
Second.
Roll call, please.
32 or
31.
I'm sorry. No wonder it didn't sound right. I was like, oh, no. -31. Excuse me.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Dorman,
Yes.
Ms. Cott,
Yes.
Mr. Hurst,
Yes.
Mr. Horn,
Yes.
Ms. Metz,
Yes.
Mr. Tracy,
Yes.
Mayor Miller.
Yes. Next on the agenda is CM-22-32, a resolution.
Yeah, this is a comparable resolution, this time authorizing a water line replacement project on Hayes Street.
Okay. Ms. Brosh.
It's a resolution authorizing Jeff Sheridan, municipal manager, to prepare and submit an application to participate in the Ohio Public Works Commission State Capital Improvement Program and/or Local Transportation Improvement Program and to execute contracts as required. Whereas the State Capital Improvement Program and the Local Transportation Improvement Program both provide financial assistance to political subdivisions for capital improvements to public infrastructure. And whereas the municipality of West Milton is planning to make capital improvements to West Hayes water main replacement. And whereas the infrastructure improvement herein above described is considered to be a priority need for the community and is a qualified project under the OPWC programs. Now therefore be it resolved by the council of the municipality of West Milton, Ohio, that Section 1, the Jeff Sheridan municipal manager is hereby authorized to apply to the OPWC for funds as described above. Section 2, Jeff Sheridan municipal manager is authorized to enter into any agreements as may be necessary and appropriate for obtaining this financial assistance. Section 3, this resolution shall take full force and effect upon its passage.
Thank you, Ms. Brosh. Any discussion or questions with council? Any motions?
Make a motion, we accept CM-22-32 as written and read.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Dorman,
Yes.
Ms. Cott,
Yes.
Mr. Hurst,
Yes.
Mr. Horn,
Yes.
Ms. Metz,
Yes.
Mr. Tracy,
Yes.
Mayor Miller.
Yes. Next is CM-22-33.
This is an ordinance modifying the official zoning map of the village based on a recommendation by the planning board. This is one parcel owned by the Sarver Funeral Home, and all the other parcels are zoned R1, which is appropriate zoning for their use. This parcel, for some reason, was still zoned agriculture. So they appeared to the planning board. Planning board recommended approving this change to make them consistent.
Very good. Ms. Brush.
An ordinance to amend the official zoning map of West Milton as adopted by Chapter 150.006 of the West Milton Code of Ordinances. Whereas the West Milton Planning Board received a petition to modify the zoning district boundary of parcels of real estate located on Cemetery Drive in the municipality of West Milton, Ohio, known as parcel number L39002375, approximately .736 acres, from A1 agricultural to R1 residential. And whereas council has received an affirmative recommendation from the West Milton Planning Board to amend the official zoning map of West Milton by changing the zoning district boundaries of the parcel of real estate being described as parcel number L39002375 from A1 agricultural district to R1 residential. And whereas section 150.319C requires council to modify zoning boundaries by ordinance as prescribed by West Milton Charter section 4.14. Now therefore be it ordained by the Council of West Milton, Ohio, that Section 1, Council accepts the recommendation of the West Milton Planning Board to modify the zoning district boundary of the parcel of real estate described as parcel number L39002375, approximately 0.736 acres, from A1 agricultural district to R1 residential. See Exhibit 1 attached. Section 2, this ordinance shall take effect 10 days after the second reading and approval by council.
Thank you. Any questions or comments for council? Any motions?
I will make a motion.
It's the first reading.
No.
Oh, I'm sorry. My apologies. Moving on to CM-22-34, a resolution.
These next three resolutions are what we discussed in the council workshop. This is to authorize signature of Mylars that we don't have record that were previously authorized that need to be recorded at the county. So that if they're authorized, we'll get them signed and recorded hopefully tomorrow.
It's a resolution accepting the final plan of Phase 2 of the Stillwater Crossings development. Whereas the Planning Board and Council have approved the Stillwater Crossings preliminary plan development through the passage of Ordinance Cm-17-18 and by the creation of the TIF districts through Ordinances Cm-17-19 and Cm-17-20. And whereas the developer has submitted the final plan of Phase 2 for Stillwater Crossings by substantially conforming to the preliminary plan as required by Sections 150.240C of the Code of Ordinances. Said plan including 41 single-family lots totaling 8.749 acres, 3 multifamily lots totaling 21.566 acres, 6 commercial lots totaling 8.392 acres, 6 open space lots totaling 11.542 acres, 1 preservation lot totaling 8.193 acres, and dedicated street rights or way totaling 13.139 acres. And whereas the West Milton Planning Board has approved the Stillwater Crossings final plan of Phase 2 as submitted. Now therefore be it resolved by the Council of the Municipality of West Milton, Ohio, that Section 1, this council hereby accepts the Stillwater Crossings Phase 2 final plan attached to and incorporated into this resolution as Exhibit A. Section 2, this council further hereby authorizes and directs the mayor and other appropriate officers of the municipality to prepare and sign the plat map for recording to the Miami County Recorder's Office. Section 3, this resolution shall take effect and be in full force from and after its passage.
Thank you, Ms. Bush. Any discussion or questions with council?
So which part of the development does this have reference to?
This is,
I think you're asking if it's the south side?
I believe that's
It's
the
definitely the south side, yeah.
south side.
Right, that's, okay. So just making sure that's.
No, that's fine.
Understood. Okay.
Any other questions or discussion? Any motions?
I'll make a motion to accept Resolution CM-22-34 as written.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Dorman,
Yes.
Ms. Cop,
Yes.
Mr. Hurst,
Yes.
Mr. Horn,
Yes.
Ms. Metz, Yes. Mr. Tracy,
Yes.
Mayor Miller.
Yes. All right. Next is CM-22-35, a resolution.
Do you need to say anything about this one?
This is just there are 3 Mylars that require signature. They were in succession, and we just need authorization to execute all 3.
A resolution accepting the final plan of Phase 3 of the Stillwater Crossings development. Whereas the Planning Board and Council have approved the Stillwater Crossings preliminary plan development through the passage of Ordinance Cm-17-18 and by the creation of the TIF districts through Ordinances Cm-17-19 and Cm-17-20. And whereas the developer has submitted the final plan of Phase 3 for Stillwater Crossings by substantially conforming to the preliminary plan as required by Section 150.240C of the Code of Ordinances. Said plan including 41 single-family lots totaling 8.749 acres, 3 multifamily lots totaling 21.566 acres, 6 commercial lots totaling 8.392 acres, 6 open space lots totaling 11.542 acres, 1 preservation lot totaling 8.193 acres, and dedicated street, rights or way totaling 13.139 acres. And whereas the West Milton Planning Board has approved the Stillwater Crossings final plan of Phase 3 as submitted. Now therefore be it resolved by the Council of the Municipality of West Milton, Ohio, that Section 1, this council hereby accepts the Stillwater Crossings Phase 3 final plan attached to and incorporated into this resolution as Exhibit A. Section 2, this council further hereby authorizes and directs the mayor and other appropriate officers of the municipality to prepare and sign the plat map for recording to the Miami County Recorder's Office. Section 3, this resolution shall take effect and be in full force from and after its passage.
Thank you, Ms. Rush. Discussion or questions?
Just one question on the 21.56 acres, the 3 multifamily lots. That is the cottages, correct?
I believe so,
Okay. And that's the only thing they can do with that based on the plan, correct?
without
Yes.
a change, yes.
Without a change. Okay.
Are there any motions for the resolution?
Mr. Mayor, I'll make a motion to accept Resolution CM-22-35.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Dorman,
Yes.
Ms. Cop,
Yes.
Mr. Hurst,
Yes.
Mr. Horn,
Yes.
Ms. Metz,
Yes.
Mr. Tracy,
Yes.
Mayor Miller.
Yes. Next is CM-22-36, another resolution.
Yeah, this is what we discussed in the council workshop. There's been a minor change in the design of the structure for Randall Homes, and the planning board has recommended we accept it as a minor change, and it requires your authorization.
It's a resolution accepting the minor change for Randall Homes in the Stillwater Crossings development. Whereas the Planning Board and Council have approved the Stillwater Crossings preliminary plan development through the passage of Ordinance Cm-17-18 and by the creation of the TIF districts through Ordinances Cm-17-19 and Cm-17-20. And whereas the developer presented a request for a change regarding the location and layout of Randall Homes within the development, which does not constitute a major change as described in Section 150.241A of the West Milton Codified Ordinances and does not alter the concept or intent of the planned development. And whereas the West Milton Planning Board has approved the minor change pursuant to Section 150.241B as submitted. Now therefore be it resolved by the Council of the Municipality of West Milton, Ohio, that Section 1, this council hereby accepts the minor change submitted by Stillwater Crossings regarding the redesign and location for Randall Homes attached to and incorporated into this resolution as Exhibit A. Section 2, this council further hereby authorizes and directs the mayor and other appropriate officers of the municipality to sign any and all documents related to the approval of this minor change if necessary. Section 3, this resolution shall take effect and be in full force from and after its passage.
Thank you. Any discussion of council or questions? Any motion for the resolution?
Mr. Mayor, I'll make a motion that we accept CM-22-36.
Second?
Roll call, please.
Mr. Dorman,
Yes.
Ms. Cop,
Yes.
Mr. Hurst,
Yes.
Mr. Horn,
Yes.
Ms. Metz,
Yes.
Mr. Tracy,
Yes.
Mayor Miller.
Yes. Next is Ordinance Cm-22-37.
Yeah, these next two ordinances will be on first reading, and these are some of the changes on code enforcement that was discussed in our workshop. So the first one has to do with blocking gutters, and it ups the fine and makes it more clear when we can cite someone. And I'll go over the next one, I guess, after you've covered this one. And if you wonder why the gutters are so important, that protects our storm sewer system. It stops from debris and other foreign matter getting into it.
When did we look at this before?
This was one of them we talked about in the workshop about some of the big issues that Tim was going to go after as code enforcement. Again, we can discuss it in the workshop before you make a final decision. This is the proposed change that staff has offered. And there's no timeline. If you're not comfortable with the
Right.
wording,
No,
we'll
I
wait.
understand, I don't remember, I remember the broad
We went through-
discussion,
yes, we
but
went through
not
it.
specific
Because
this or this code, if you will.
we intended to communicate that. If we didn't, I apologize.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion that we table Ordinance Cm-22-37 until the workshop.
Perfect.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. And then next is going to be Cm-22-38, which is another ordinance dealing with the sidewalk section. And
Correct. Same issue. If you'd like to table it, we'll discuss it. That's perfectly fine.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion that we table Ordinance Cm-22-38 until the workshop.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Moving on to the municipal manager's report.
Thank you, Mayor. We have found and fixed one of the major leaks that we've been experiencing for quite some time. We're still calculating the exact amount of gallons that we lost. It's caused by a subcontractor working in the village, and we intend to present them with the bill for the repair, including the cost of the lost water. Staff's also working with the Rotary Club and getting the fall fling planned and worked out. There'll be some changes. We've expanded. They needed more room, so we're closing one more side street to make it open to food vendors. So we're, based on how successful the 4th of July weekend was, we're hopeful that it'll be just as successful as far as the fall fling. And last, we have another mobile business coming to the village. Met with a young lady who intends to open a mobile coffee shop and has made arrangements there at the corner of 571 and 48. As soon as the RV or trailer that they're converting is complete, she expects to be out there 4 to 5 days a week selling coffee and pastries.
Did you see their faces perfect?
I did when I said coffee, yeah, same as my staff. I would expect that we're going to have to look at some modifications to our ordinance when someone is more permanently located on private property and or public property for food trucks. I mean, we've had a lot of success parking them in the public parking lot that the village owns, but I think we better plan for having more space if we need it.
Yeah, absolutely.
What's the name of her food truck?
I don't know that she gave me a name
Oh.
per se, but I showed her around to several different sites, and she was able to reach an agreement with Hamler Insurance to use their parking lot.
Excellent.
They strong arm her for some free coffee.
I'm sure they did. I think they required they be insured by her, or insure her.
Smart business.
And she hoped to have it open in 4 to 6 weeks.
Manager Sherry, did you have a date for the fall fling?
I do. I'm sorry. I should have mentioned that.
No, that's all right.
17th. Thank you. Chief's been working with us. September 17th. Yes.
Thank you. And do you happen to know the times?
4 to 8.
4 to 8, the same. Yeah.
Thank you.
And the water leak that was caused by the boring, where was all that excess water going?
I wish I could answer that. Based on the location, we theorize that it went under 48 But how we went all the way to the river without coming up in somebody's yard being very green, we don't know.
So are we looking into any possible road damage underneath that might need to be done?
Absolutely.
And accountability there? Because if
Absolutely.
it washes out that base,
Sure. We don't believe that took place, but yes, we're looking at every
'cause
possible.
that was,
And we don't believe this was all of this leak, but it's one of two that we've repaired since we last met. That's all I have, Mayor.
All right, thanks, sir. Any old business with council? Any new business?
Yes, we have new
Okay.
business. Scott, I'm thinking about the Rock the Hill and Third Thursday. Do you want to take one of them?
Sure.
Okay, which one?
So I'll do Rock the Hill.
Okay.
August 20th from 4 to 9 p.m. There'll be a free concert in the park called Rock the Hill. There'll be 3 different bands that'll take the stage, and it's free to come out and just participate and talk with your neighbors and have a good time.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. A big concert.
A big concert.
Lots of
yeah.
food trucks, kids inflatables.
Oh, yeah.
A beer and wine garden. It's going to be really, really fun. And it's free.
Is that a Rotary event or?
No.
It is a Project Revival event. So Project Revival is a nonprofit.
Who are the bands?
And the purpose of Project Revival is to help revitalize the downtown and just have events. So like all of the Third Thursdays are also done by Project Revival also, and we're just trying to get some community down there and get some things happening, so. And then as far as the bands go, you asked me too fast. It's on our Facebook page. If you're on Facebook by chance, there's a Rock the Hill event Facebook group. And it has everything listed, so it's gonna be a good time. Yeah. And then, in addition, so Project Revival is also putting on Third Thursdays, which happens every third Thursday of the month. And Officer Wright played with his band at our last one, and he is awesome. If you guys haven't heard him, come to the August 20th event because they are also going to be playing there. They're really good, a bluegrass band. And our last Third Thursday was stinking hot. It was like 100 degrees, so we didn't have a great turnout, but high hopes for the one coming next week, July 21st. It is from 4 to 8. We have food trucks, and we have another band coming. It's just a really fun, free family event. You can just come and sit, bring your lawn chairs, listen to the band, sit under the trees, and have some food. So it's been pretty awesome.
Yep.
Yep.
Very cool.
And that's it.
Thanks for the clarification.
Yeah.
All right. Any other new business? No. At this time, we would open up the floor to comments by citizens. If you have anything to say, please step to the podium, identify yourself and what street you live on. And yes, sir.
Okay, this is 20%.
And can we,
Increase,
sir, just for our minutes, can we get your name and the street that you live on?
my name is Elvis,
Okay? Elvis, and what street do you live on?
1139 South Main Street.
Thank you, Elvis.
All right. Why the 20% increase on water?
Very good question. I don't know if Manager Sheridan, if you'd like to, or I can address it.
Sure.
But we'd be happy to explain that.
Yeah. The water increase will generate an approximately $140,000 a year for the next 3 years that'll go into replacing water lines. For example, the water main in Miami Street is a 50-year-old 6-inch line, doesn't provide adequate pressure or fire protection. It's going to be almost $1 million to replace that line with a 12-inch line, which will provide better pressure, better fire protection. Most of the water lines in the village have exceeded their life expectancy. So this is just a start of trying to replace the infrastructure before it breaks. Right now, we're replacing or repairing a couple of breaks a month, and that water is expensive. And so, believe me, no one wants to do an increase that significant, but it's going to go directly into replacing aging infrastructure.
Okay, well, we've been paying for over 20 years increases on water and sewage and stuff like that. I lived in this town for over 25 years. And it just keeps going up, 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 up. So I would like to see an audit of the books, see how much money we got.
Yeah. So, Mr. Elvis, the annual, biannual audit was just completed, and so that is a public
But I
record.
didn't
That
see
is,
it.
that, if you'd like to come in and request a copy, we would be happy to provide that to you, as well as the annual budget for the municipality each year. Again, it's a public record. Anytime during
I know
business
it's all
hours.
public record.
Anytime during business hours, you're more than welcome to come in and we'll get you a copy.
All right, I will do that.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
All right, well, thank you.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Any other comments by citizens?
My name is Doug Defoe, and I live in Wright Road.
Thank you, sir.
I guess I'm disappointed that 20%, and I understand some of the reasoning why, but in the years that I've lived in the city, I've seen this council constantly behind themselves. Again, the same thing's happening. That concerns me, and I look at the people within this town, they are going to take a big hit with all the other expenses and things like that. When did it stop? I mean, we are in the top 10% of the state when it comes to water. And there's going to be a lot of people who it's going to hurt. I just can't believe that we're doing this again, and that nobody has looked to the future. Now, I see that that's what you're saying, but I've heard this committee, now maybe not you, but other people on this committee say the same thing, and they were basically non-truths. So my concern is it's going to continue and continue, and people are going to look at the city and say, why would I move to West Milton? Because we can't afford the water. I mean, we got to buy groceries. So I, as a citizen of West Milton, say, hey, I like you as people, but I will vote against you. I want you to know that in advance because of this. And I will tell other peoples, and I will probably do flyers in the community saying, these are the people you do not want in office. So.
Thanks, sir.
Can I respond to that real quick?
Yeah.
I would just say that you asked when's it going to stop. Speaking just as a citizen, it's not. We have inflation. All you have to do is go 2 doors down to $1.25 tree and find out everything's expensive. Prices continue to go up. We have bills we have to pay. I appreciate your input. For what it's worth, I wanted to increase them more than we did because I thought I saw those expenses being higher than what they actually were.
And I understand what you're saying, and I have no problem with that. But I've seen a council who has been very lax and changes so much that we never know what's happening within the city. Most of you people within 5 years will not be on this council. And the things that you're talking about today, they'll be shoved somewhere else. And that concerns me.
Not just that, we're all on a fixed income.
I think to add to what the response to you, I mean, he came at us with the 17% and then a couple of lower options. And I think with what Councilman Tracy's saying, we swung back and said it's not enough. We do feel constantly behind, constantly under pressure that we're too low in the fund and not above water to where we need to be when the next issue comes up. And I think we settled on the 20%, but I think we were thinking it probably honestly needed to be even maybe a little bit more to really get ahead of it.
I also felt that it was not promoted enough within the community. people I talked with, probably 85 to 90% did not know about it. A letter should have been sent out. But I understand that, guess what?
I was telling you.
That's tough because this place would be full, or at least I would hope it would be. Most people don't even know about it.
I would. Thanks, Elvis. I would. This is a tough spot. You've made some valid points. This council that's here now is not the same council that was here 5 years ago or 3 years ago. You know, in the past year, I think we've lost 2 council members that I know of.
Mr. Green, can I, or Kraft?
Mike Kraft.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yep.
What street?
I'm on Wagner.
Thank you.
One of your officers is out there, Doyle. I don't know if he's trying to get your attention or not. But he was peeking in here, so I didn't know. Oh, yeah, you're all right, Elvis. I understand there's a need for fixing the infrastructure. And, you know, these guys are addressing that. And you're right about them being behind the 8 ball. They know about they knew about a lot of these things a long time ago. Jeffrey Sheridan was brought in here after the other manager left, was fired, or didn't fire, he resigned, I'm sorry. He was allowed to resign to save face for him. And so Jeffrey's trying to figure out the best way to move the city forward, and I understand that. I don't exactly agree with all the way they're doing it. You know, some of the council here have ideas of raising it increasing the water rates and the sewer rates 50%. And you're right, this would be a real burden on the community at this time to raise it, especially raise it that much. And so I think they're trying to make a compromise in only raising it 10%, what is it, 10% on the sewer and 20% on the sewer.
20% water.
And they did run sewer lines in a lot of the town a few years ago. I saw them pushing new pipe inside the old sewer lines. Why we're having a 20% increase, I'm not exactly sure. The water as well, just a mere 10% increase. I agree. In these inflationary times, in these toughest of times, they've decided now to do this. But I think a lot of the previous council and so forth has kind of kicked the can down the road. And now we're right where we are. I'm not making excuses for these guys. I'm just saying this is what we're into, right? So I know it's, and I'm not, you know, I hate increases like anybody else, and I've asked them to find ways to mitigate it, and I don't think they're wanting to address that. But you know, here we are. They've already passed the ordinance.
I would also offer this comment to think about. We didn't just vote to pass legislation to raise your rates 10% and 20%, but we all have voted to raise our own rates 10 and 20% for an average of 15 on your bill. And so we all see the need, and we all are also experiencing the pain. Mm-hmm. And so we're not doing it absent feeling the ramifications either. Not everybody's financial situation is the same. I do understand fixed incomes feel things differently.
There's not a retired one of you on the council.
That's very true. We do understand that. But the fact remains that it's not done in a vacuum, so to speak, where we just sit on high and say, yours are going up. We all feel it. We're all dealing with the same thing, but we all want our toilets to flush, and we want water to continue to be delivered, and we want our workers to be able to be paid better than they're being paid now, because they deserve that. And that's important to us as a community to be able to do that. Regardless of what's happened in the past, that's where we're at today. And to accomplish those things. We value those things as a community, and so, and not speaking just as a councilman, but as a citizen myself, we value those things as a community, and so we need to raise the rates for those reasons, not just on you, but on all of us, if you follow what I'm saying.
So you guys have passed the ordinance to raise the rates. And what I'd like to see from here on out is a real constructive plan. When are we going to see, like on my street, I just told you I live on Wagner. Somebody else here lives on Wright, just right behind me. Our water pressure pretty much sucks. And so I'd like to hear some kind of plan, a rollout of when we're going to see some fixes, and my wife and I can be able to shower and feel like we've rinsed the soap off, you know. And so, you know, if we're going to bite the bullet in probably the worst possible time to have to bite the bullet, then at least put some kind of concrete plan in place. And I don't think, a lot of times there's a propensity, I'm not blaming anyone here specifically, there's a propensity to do things and shoot from the hip and then say, oh crap, that's not, oops. I know I said this last year, but we're doing something different. I mean, you guys did that on the trash rollout, the trash can rollout. You know, first you could, you could put your trash out here this way, and then that changed.
We'll stick with the water issue.
So I'm just, I'm just giving you, for instance, there's a propensity to shoot from the hip. And so let's get a plan in place so we know what's going to happen. We know how the rollout's going to go, and hopefully we don't shoot from the hip and then find out 5 years from now that, oh, we didn't mean to do that, we're doing this now. You know what I'm saying?
Let's also keep in perspective the 20%. I mean, percentage-wise is a lot, obviously, but for the average resident, we're talking $12 a month. I don't say that in a way that is to diminish a person on a fixed income, because those dollars count. They have to come from somewhere, which means you have to pull that $12 from somewhere.
Gasoline is up, food is up, energy prices are
all
up.
that. I'm just trying to put that into perspective of other commodities that you pay for today, you know, in that same kind of.
Okay, and in that same vein then, there is kind of an unforgiveness in the council's decisions as far as, you know, if somebody can't pay their bills or they have a hardship. There is no mercy on this council for people that have a hardship. If you can't pay your bill, it's off, buddy, and you get a fine and you get everything else under the sun, and we're looking for ways to give you a ticket and maybe even, you know, have Doyle Wright come over and give you a, you know, visit. I don't know, but it sounds like that.
It's not for municipalities to decide who gets a break on their bill, who doesn't. Now, there are organizations in the community that assist with some of that stuff. Churches, Community Chest, other agencies. There are some that will when in need, and they see it. So I would encourage anybody that's in that state to reach out to those kind of organizations and look for that assistance that is there.
They do not own water.
Yeah, they don't. I would agree with him. They don't own water. I had a neighbor who had an accidental line break on the main after the meter, ran up a $700 bill, and there was no forgiveness. He also paid for the sewer
Mr. Kraft,
as well.
we appreciate the comments, and we
And the
can
water didn't
continue
go
the
in the sewer.
discussion after the council meeting if you'd like. But we
That's
have
fine.
some.
I just want to address these issues with you so you guys understand how the community feels. I'm not the only one that feels this way. I
And
mean, all of a
we're
sudden, we've
listening
got
to you.
4 extra
But
people
we
showing
have
up.
some other folks that would like to speak, I believe. And
All right.
so I'd like to give them a chance as well.
All right.
Thank you,
Yeah,
sir.
like Mr. Horn, I understand what you're saying. $12 isn't going to hurt most people. But when they changed the water over to Troy, that wasn't going to hurt most people. And it's kept on. You know, that's the thing. It hasn't stopped. And so once we fix this, it'll be okay. it hasn't been okay. And so constantly, we're going back to the same spot. That's what concerns me. And the council has done that for years. And how do you trust a body that,
Mr. Defoe, what's your solution?
huh?
What is your solution?
I don't have your position.
That's not what I'm asking. As a resident, and if you were up here, how would you solve this problem? If something needs to be taken care of at your home, when things are going bad, when things need repaired, you start pulling back money, you start saving for those large things. We are trying to do the same thing in a larger form, so I'm asking, what is your solution? Can you help us?
I think the council has failed.
But can you
That's not a
give us a
solution.
suggestion
Yeah.
of how to save for this infrastructure that needs repaired?
You guys are taking the brunt end of the situation. I understand that. I understand that.
We don't know what else to do, so help us out.
I never heard anybody asking for help. I just-
We have an open forum every single time, and we love feedback. Do you guys not love feedback?
I do not believe.
We
that
love it.
of the council. I've been-
We do. We are very
It's on
personal.
Facebook every month, or not on Facebook, but on YouTube every month. You can watch meetings.
I
We've
used
been
to
talking
come
about
to
this for
meetings,
months and months and
I
months.
stopped coming because.
Please
I look at
come.
this
Come back.
council
Please come.
Much like the council before. Yes.
Please
Please,
come.
please come back.
Please.
As you were describing the history of water in Milton, I can remember it too, and I can remember how bad it tastes. I can remember water boil advisories. I can remember the simple concept of we'll pull our water out of the same river that upstream they dump their sewage into. It may be an expensive change to get to Troy water, but it's the best water that's ever flown through these lines and out of sinks in this town in its history. I can tell you that. And it may cost more, but it's safe and it's consistent. And there's, infrastructure has always got a cost to it. And we can't afford to run our own water plant and pull our own water out of the ground. It'd be millions of dollars. Pickwood did it when they were right next to the same aquifer in Troy. We can't do that. All we can do is get from the best place we can and distribute it the best way we can. And that's one of the simplest things that we do for a community is provide water. And I guarantee you, if we weren't doing it well, we would hear from more than 4 people here. It would be insanely.
You will in September.
I am sure there will be people upset over the change. I can always remember that being a hot topic in this town, and it will never change. But it is one of the most basic things that we need coming to our door every day.
But it's not history either. Never changed.
And we've got to be doing it the best way we can.
Gentlemen, I am going to interrupt because I do want to open the floor up to someone else that would like to speak, so.
Quick question. This is not about water.
Okay.
That's fine.
That's okay.
Well, you said keep it to water. I'm trying to obey. All right, so good afternoon. My name's Judy Kinney. I live on Main Street. With the number of residents that we are building and accumulating in this town, is there going to be an increase in the number of police officers, vehicles, firefighters, EMTs? Paid firefighters, EMTs, not just volunteers?
At this time, there's not been any discussion of paid fire, and we do not provide any EMS service. That is provided by the Union Township Life Squad.
Okay, so with all of these additional residences, we're not going to have any additional protection for the citizens of West Milton. Am I correct?
As far as the police, once the population changes, then that will be examined. And so if it is necessary, we'll add police. But the population has to change more than it has so far to warrant additional officers.
Okay.
And towards the discussion with the fire department, because it is a volunteer force, it's much easier to add more volunteers. And speaking with the fire chief in recent, past month or two, they do have a waiting list.
I was going to say, I always remember there being a waiting list.
So there are people that they have more people wanting to join the fire department than we currently have spots for.
And that's very unique.
It is very
That is
unique.
very rare.
Yes. Yeah. You don't in today's world, where volunteer firemen are very hard to find, and volunteer firemen are tough to find, and we are in a very fortunate spot. So,
Well, living on Main Street, halfway between here and McKinley Commons, believe me, I know there's a lot of firefighters, because I think half of West Milton is a firefighter that goes up into my street continually.
yeah.
Another question. Our school is relatively new. It's almost a capacity.
Yes.
How are we going to ensure that these children get a quality education, stay safe, without building another new school?
So, we meet regularly with the school board, and we make them well aware of our plans and what we're doing as the municipality, and that gives them the chance to plan accordingly.
Building a new school,
That's
possibly.
That would be a discussion to have with the school board. We can't make any financial or fiscal decisions for them. But,
It's very safe.
yeah.
Ma'am, this is something interesting you might not know, that a lot of the kids that go to Milton are open enrolled students. They don't live in the district. So,
Right.
so that's something to think about, that when, kids start moving into our district, those spots will be filled by kids who live in our district. So just something to.
Okay, so we'll possibly close open.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm
If
just
that- if
saying.
it comes to it.
Kids who live in the district have first priority,
And
so.
that's really that's a school board decision.
Thing, yeah.
We have nothing to do
We have
with that.
nothing to do with that.
So in regards to the expansion, has there been consideration in maybe maintaining some of the existing community? There's a lot of rundown houses, code enforcement violations, like right next door to my house. Because I know that my husband and you have been in communication. I appreciate the honest communication you're giving him.
That's some of the stuff that we're tackling tonight. That was one of the things that we tabled, just so that we can make sure that we're not shooting from the hip and jumping the gun or rethinking what we're doing a couple years later. So we're going to make sure that those ordinances are spelled out correctly for the code enforcement. That gives us some teeth to be able to enforce property maintenance, and to make sure that the existing community is just as healthy and just as vibrant as any new development that comes in.
And I think we're all in agreement that the cheapest and easiest things we can do in the community isn't build new neighborhoods, it's take care of the ones we have.
Exactly.
And it's always a tricky fine line to walk on how to tell people how to maintain their properties and things like that. And that's why the code's being revisited, updated, and enforced correctly.
Right. And the ones that are vacant are the ones that are worse. Okay. One more quick. Approximately, if you know, say an average of $150,000 home, about how much are our taxes going to go up? Because we know they're going to go up. None of us.
Go up? I don't know if
Our taxes aren't going
And
up.
that's a property tax, which is primarily the county. 75% of the revenue that funds the general fund for the village is income tax.
Okay. So all of it is just going to be like on the water bill, the sewer bill, et cetera. Okay. Where can I find, because I'm going to be honest with you, either I am like really dumb on the internet, or I cannot find ordinances, I cannot find an updated schedule of event, I can't find anything about West Milton.
Yes.
We're
Where
working
can
on a
I
new
find it?
website
That's another issue that we're working on,
We're
and so
working on a new
trust us,
website.
that's
to have that correct.
Because all of these ordinances, I would love to actually read them, may not understand them, but to read them, and
I can send you a PDF of the Code of Ordinances if you like. Contact me tomorrow.
There's also a copy at the library
no, there isn't.
that you can look at. I've been there too.
No, there isn't. I work at the library. Because the ordinances that we had were from the 90s, and they, from what I was told by our director, we could not get updated copies. So I work at the library. We do
We'd
not
be
have
happy to
those.
supply the library with updated copies as well.
That's where I've seen you at.
I'm only there 12 hours a week. Thank you for your time.
Thank you
Thank
very
you,
much.
we appreciate it.
All right. Are there, I'm sorry?
Anybody else?
Actually, I think
No?
West Mountain
Okay.
schools are the best schools. It's a lockdown school. Ain't nobody going to get in there because we've got sheriffs in there.
Okay.
I think
Any
all
motion
schools
to
should be that
adjourn?
way.
Mr. Mayor, make a motion to adjourn?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? No.
Are we adjourned?
No executive file signatures.
Well, thank you.
Do not let the mayor leave.
I got some too for him.
Okay. And there's your legislation.